Welcome back to another episode of We Don't Know What to Watch. And with me, as always, is the Katniss Everdeen to my Peta and Gale. It's Kyle Mulford and I'm Noah Saturn. How are you, Kyle?
Noah, we're going to go out and kill people. And you're
Yay!
going to enjoy this. Make sure you kill everyone and you'll win.
Woo! Watch out, there's also danger zones.
I'm doing all right. I watched, in case nobody knows what that is, I watched Battle Royale for the first time.
We watched Battle Royale. This was my second time through, and before that, I read the book once a few years ago.
Can I just say right off the bat that I've heard people raving of this movie for years now. It came out in 2000 and finally got US distribution in like 2010, but from Anchor Bay, they finally got distribution rights. But heard ravings of this movie. People love this movie. Actually, Quentin Tarantino says when it came out, said it was the best film he'd seen in the past 2 decades. I think that's a bit hyperbolic, but you know, he did take one of the actresses and put him.
Hyperbolic.
What's that? Oh yeah, Quentin Tarantino hyperbolic. He did take one of the actresses and put her in Kill Bill Volume 1, so you know. But nowhere in all of these like reviews and everything and all these people raving about this movie, I didn't know what to expect. Apparently, like I was expecting a completely different movie because no one has ever said, hey, Battle Royale is like a live action anime. And you know what Battle Royale was? It was like a live action anime. It really felt like that to me. And I've never heard anybody describe it that way. I'm like, what am I watching? This is bizarre. I thought it, and you know, it's got this history of getting an R15 plus rating in Japan, which is really rare apparently because of all the violence. I'm like, this movie was so cartoony that it was so anime and cartoony that the violence was almost lessened because of that. It was really bizarre. And I dug the hell out of this movie. I'll just say it right now, but it was so bizarre.
Yeah. So the basic premise is, it's every year after this, government act was passed, every year one high school class is just kind of ninth grade is just kind of like randomly selected to go and compete in this battle royale on an island somewhere. And this is done by the government. So yeah, it's sort of a last man standing and only one can survive. And they've got like these special collars you wear. And if you disobey them, then bam, you get your head blown up.
It's a Suicide Squad.
Yeah, it is kind of at least with the collars, and then every day it has to be like done in 3 days or less, and then you get like your survival pack, which has like 3 bottles of water, some food, and a weapon, and like tons of different random weapons. Some are good, some are bad, and also the island, like depending on each day, certain zones that are kind of cordoned off in a grid system are going to be all right. So this is like zone B4, zone C6, and zone D12 are now like danger zones. So you got to leave those. It's supposed to get people to, get closer together so they can actually fight each other.
Can I ask, the whole danger zone thing, they never did anything with it. So I was like, what was so dangerous about the zones?
If I remember correctly in the book, it's like if you're in one of the danger zones, by the time you explode automatically.
Oh, okay. Because I might have missed that bit of dialogue. I'm sure they said something like that, but like they kept saying, "Oh, that's a danger zone. That's a danger zone," but they never said what happens in a danger zone. But maybe they did say it, and I just missed it because I'm watching all of this.
There are a highway to and from said danger zone.
Yes, there is the highway. Do not take the highway to the danger zone, though.
Yeah, did you watch the subbed version or the dubbed version?
Oh, actually, you know what? It was dubbed, but I was still like, so I don't know what my excuse is. I missed some dialogue in there. I think it was because I was just like so like enamored by the dub because, like I said, it felt like an anime movie. And with the English dub, they really, I don't know if the Japanese dub was as animated as the English dub. It really felt like a English dubbed anime show.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, so
I can definitely see that. So I plus you're trying to read some of the subtitles and then take down some notes. So yeah, you might miss a few things here and there.
yeah, like I said though, there's so much going on screen that I might have missed dialogue just because there was so much going on. The I missed a lot of the stuff though too with like the backstory of some of the kids. I'm like, I don't know what. There's so many kids that like you get these flashbacks to a basketball game, and then like yeah, this love triangle thing going on or something, and I'm going,
Yeah,
this is
it
about
can be a little confusing, and that's kind of probably one of the things that was sort of lost in the adaptation because in a situation like this, so much of it is like a character could just be like walking through the woods on the island, and they have their own flashback, and in a book that's really easy because obviously you can tell their thoughts.
yeah.
Versus how do you? It's one of those things that doesn't necessarily translate really well to a screen. They do their best to do it visually, but yeah, I could definitely see how you can get a little lost by that.
Well, and I think the problem was like, you could still tell it was their flashback or whatever, but I was getting confused with a lot of characters because they're all wearing the brown coats, like and like they're all wearing the same stuff. So like you're cutting back and forth. I'm going, and like a lot of the girls had like the same haircut, other than the one crazy girl with the long hair.
Nice.
Um, and then you had like the one crazy transfer student or whatever with the red hair who was just going around just shooting everybody. But
Yeah, you got the crazy guy, then you got like the Rambo guy with the headband. So
yeah, and then even when you could tell who was who, it was going cutting back so forth so much, and people would just die, and you're like, was it? They showed his backstory. Now, why do I even care? Because he's dead now. Like, and then the next person dies, and like they really jumped right in because when they take this class, they drug them and take them to an island, and then they show them this
yeah, because it's
video.
supposed to be like it's supposed to be like some sort of class trip. So they take him to this island. They wake up in a classroom, and they show this video of like, all right, this is the battle royale.
Yeah, and that's where it gets the most anime is that video because that girl is wearing an outfit like that you would totally see in an anime show, and like she's even doing the arm and leg movements and everything, and even talking in that let's go out there and let's go kill each other, yay. It's just like even
Yeah,
the
she's
hand
almost
gesture.
dressed like it does feel like sort of like a Japanese idol singer, almost like a J-pop, K-pop sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, and I thought that was funny because then just unexpectedly, someone whispers in class, and the teacher is like, "Shut up!" and throws a knife through their forehead. I'm like, "Oh, so we're getting right into this." So you see two people die before they even leave the classroom. But yeah, and I liked that because then you go outside and they hand bags off to all the kids, one at a time. Let one go run out and get a head start, and then they give the next one, a 30-second head start, the next one. And then once they get a few out the door, after a couple students have died inside, then you go out and all of a sudden someone gets shot with actually a girl walks over to another kid that she knows, like, ah, what's happening? And she's got a crossbow bolt through her neck. So yeah, it gets right into the violence. So
It's pretty brutal. Yeah, also pretty bloody too.
yeah, and I think, like I said, you knew it was going to come down to a couple of people, so I really wasn't that invested in the backstories. I was just there for the ride of like, how are these people going to die? Who's going to, sometimes you get some that are trying to like outwit the system, make it together. Some people committed suicide. Then you've got a couple that are trying to hack into the system to break down the collars or whatever, and so there's all of these different things going on, a lot of stuff going on, and then you even get like almost comical massacres, like the poison food mix-up.
There is a bit of a there are some moments of dark humor in this movie as well.
Yeah, because that scene was just brutal, but it was also, yeah, like I said, darkly funny. And yeah, so like there's one character named Shuya, and they kind of focus on him in the beginning, and they he's like, oh, my mom left when I was young, and then my dad committed suicide, and so you're like, okay, this kid's you're gonna follow him. So you kind of know he's gonna make it a ways, and
Mm-hmm.
then
You don't
and
know how
then
far he's gonna make it, but he's gonna make it a ways.
yeah, and then you've got another person that he meets up with who's a transfer student, and then you find out later that he won a previous battle royale. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, just a lot of craziness, and it was just fun to watch. Really, there's not a lot to it. Economy collapse in Japan, so they say, "Oh, there's too much youth violence, so we'll just manipulate them into killing each other. Too many juvenile
Yeah,
delinquents."
it's definitely less interested in sort of the world around it as opposed because I mentioned the Hunger Games earlier, and those comparisons are very because they do serve a very similar premise. Hunger Games though, this one had like 40 some kids, and none of them had been kind of local, like I said, previously trained, as opposed to the Hunger Games, which was much more interested in this kind of dystopian world and the fact that there were more than one book in that series,
Yeah,
and it was much more about how it's all perceived by the media because it's being kind of live broadcast all over the country in that one. Well, this one you only know what happens after it's over because they only always interview with quote unquote the winner, and then and actually I couldn't necessarily tune in on the TV to watch it as it's happening.
yeah, and the way this one ended, you don't really know what ends up happening.
Mm-hmm.
So, because then the movie ends on the word "run," and I wasn't sure what was meant by that. And I don't want to give too much away with that. I know we usually spoil these movies, but I just wasn't sure what if they were trying to say anything with that, because I'm not sure if they were trying to say anything with this movie or if it was just hey, here's a kids violent against each other. It was a little bit to do with the disparity between the youth and the elders in Japan, that
Mm-hmm.
that age gap and their generation gap. But other than that, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's something that might be subtext that we're missing because obviously we're both Americans from the Midwest, so I'm sure there's some context that we're missing to it. But from what we can tell, and from what I remember from the book, it was mostly just like, all right, here's a fun ride, and here's and the evil teacher who's kind of running it, who hates kids.
Yeah, because he quits his job at the beginning because he gets stabbed by a student.
I mean that's fair to
Yeah,
quit your job because of that.
and then he gets into this battle royale act or whatever, and that was one thing that wasn't clear to me, was that it had been going on for a couple of years until you found out the one had won a previous one, because
Mm-hmm.
I was under the impression when they got them to the island that this was the first time they were doing it, because they're like, well, they've enacted the battle royale act, and I was like, okay, so is this like the first time? And apparently it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I don't know if there's that much more to say about the movie. It's basically just, yeah, a bunch of students who are forced to kill each other on an island, and lots of violence, some dark humor in it, very
A
anime,
lot of good suspense.
very anime like, and just a lot of fun.
Yeah, and obviously this film has had some more cultural influence because in addition to the book, there was the film, and there was at least one manga adaptation, and then of course now even the word battle royale has become sort of a very popular video game genre, with something like Fortnite being one of the most popular games in the world at the moment as of this recording.
See, when I was growing
And
up, like a battle royale was a wrestling match.
yeah, it might have been inspired by that. Who knows?
Well, then there was even a sequel, which the director did a couple of scenes. Like, he's still credited as a director on the sequel, but he only filmed a couple of scenes before he died of like pancreatic cancer or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So the screenwriter finished the second film. I'm assuming that there was no second book, and they just kind of went off of the movie and made a sequel.
Not that I'm aware of.
So, but yeah, this was one of the last films that this guy directed, actually. Kinji Fukasaku. Sorry if I butchered that name. But how about recommendation? Would you recommend this movie?
Definitely. Yeah, this is a nasty movie, but it's also a great ride.
I echo that sentiment. There's not much more to say about it. I would recommend this film. It's a lot of fun.
All right, so now we're moving on to at least one of my favorite segments where we talk about double features, or some case, if we like the movie, it's a double feature. If we don't like the movie, it's a watch this instead. So I'm gonna take the easy way out, and definitely, it's kind of fun to compare and contrast this with the Hunger Games, whether you're familiar with either the book or the movie version of the Hunger Games. Of course, my favorite part of the Hunger Games was Stanley Tucci as like this weird talk show host guy.
Yeah, the Tooch.
Yeah,
Stanley Tucci is always great.
I think his character's name was like Caesar Glickerman with this really big hair. So generally speaking, I think Stanley Tucci could improve any movie, and I want Stanley Tucci as sort of like the sportscaster slash talk show host of the Battle Royale too.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not as big on the Hunger Games movies. I thought the first one was all right, and then they just kind of, I don't even think I saw the fourth one that concluded the 2-part final, because I was like, I'm done with this. But I like the first one enough. Okay, so I know I've been a little lax on this section of the podcast the last couple of times, but I actually thought about this one, and I've got a recommendation to go along with this. And I'm going with I think it's 1987, the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic, The Running Man. And
yeah, I was wondering if you're going to bring this one up.
And here's why: because there's more than just the killing or whatever. Okay, you've got it's a little different setup because these are like convicts that are being put into this game show type thing. So this is almost like Hunger Games, where like people are watching this going on, and it's like a game show where they put convicts in with a bunch of like themed killers or whatever, and they have to try, if they can get through alive, they're good. But another reason I chose this one, other than you're put in an arena where you fight to the death, is because of Richard Dawson. Richard Dawson is the host of The Running Man, and he is in real life generally known as a game show host. And in Battle Royale, the teacher is played by Takeshi Kitano, and he sometimes goes by the name Beat Takeshi. And apparently he's pretty famous over in Japan.
Billion things.
And he's done a lot of TV hosting and game show hosting himself. So there's my Richard Dawson connection to the Running Man.
Aha.
So, so that's my recommendation: is watch this alongside with the Running Man.
Nice.
And yes, I recommend watching both of them.
There's always room for Arnold.
Yes. Nice to meet you. I don't know if that one was Running Man or if that was Batman and Robin.
I'm pretty sure it's Batman and Robin.
There are ice puns in both of those.
You know who killed the dinosaurs? The Ice Age!
All right. So let's go on to our final segment of the podcast and see what's coming up for the next episode.
Yeah, what do we got next? We've been on a pretty good streak. So yeah, this one was a pleasant surprise.
All right. 70 score or better, all genres. Spin it.
Spin, 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 spin. Hope it's something good. Hope it's something good. Hope it's something good.
All right, we've got a ragtag group of American stragglers battles against superior communist troops in an abandoned Buddhist temple during the Korean War.
All right, so it's definitely not Red Dawn.
No, this is not set in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
We've got the director Samuel Fuller.
Is this Big Red One or something? Or
no, it's called The Steel Helmet from 1950.
Right, I've heard about this one.
From 1951. And it is on the Criterion Channel and Canopy.
All right, I've actually been meaning to watch this one for a while, so.
Yeah, I'm not sure I know this one, so that'll be interesting.
I know this isn't his only, war movie. I know he made another war movie. I think he did make a movie called The Big Red One.
Okay. And this one's only an hour and 25 minutes. Short one.
Yeah, well, as opposed to Battle Royale, which was 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And for condensing to like a 600 some page book in a 2.5 hour movie, that's pretty solid.
Yeah. Oh, another thing we didn't mention about Battle Royale was there was a special edition made, and I think that's the one that I watched because apparently the special edition had the requiems at the end, where they extended the flashback sequences, which, like I said, I didn't really care for the flashback sequences anyway. I was just there for the kills mostly. So that didn't really do much for me. And I think they changed the opening scene or whatever. It wasn't anything too drastic other than adding extended flashbacks at the end. So
yeah, so the bulk of the plot is still the same.
Yeah. So if you're following along, next recording, The Steel Helmet from 1951.
All right.
Comment below and let us know what you think of Battle Royale if you've seen it. And then you can find us on Twitter. I'm at AwesomeKM.
And I'm at Noah_Saturn, SATERN.
And we're on Instagram at We Don't Know What to Watch. You can email us at wedon'tknowwhattowatch@gmail.com. And until next time, make sure everyone's dead and you will win.
Yeah, and just make sure you get a better weapon than like a pair of binoculars or a GPS.
Oh, we didn't go through the weapons either. The pot lid and the binoculars. I love that.
Some weapons were like, all right, your weapon is a pot lid. Your weapon is then like your weapon is an Uzi. Your weapon is a shotgun.
I got a pan lid. What am I supposed to do with this?
That is sort of a nice variety.
Yeah, it was kind of funny, and they used this stuff too. Like someone got a megaphone, so they used that. Like that was the nice thing. Another nice thing about the movie was they actually utilized the weapons that weren't really weapons in there. So, all right, I think that's it.
Bye-bye.